Hi, this is Andrew Lightheart from smallbiztalks.com, and I'm going to be talking to you today about Jill Bolte-Taylor's TED Talk. Now, I was all set up to give you all the details of why Jill is such a great presenter, and then I watched it again, and I've just had to recover. I've not watched it for a long time. I wrote an analysis of it quite a while ago, and it's one of my favourite TED Talks ever. And I thought I remembered enough about it to give you some analysis, and then I thought, hold on, just watch it again. And the main thing it does, it makes me cry because she really finds the this is the major part about Jill's talk, is she finds the heart inside her presentation. She allows herself to be vulnerable enough to talk about things that are very much at the core of her experience, and as a scientist she's really risking herself and in front of a global audience. Donald Mars he wrote a book called Writing the Breakout Novel, and he looked at novels that go crazy, and they're almost always linked to universal themes, to big cosmic aspects like life and death and good and evil, and Jill talks about our connection to energy, our connection to the universe, and whether you're up for that or not, the way that she risks her vulnerability is something that really connects us to her. So, I don't know, if you can find the passionate part of yourself, the bit that really connects you to why you chose this. This is why, as small business people who you've chosen a business, there's something that drives you. If you can connect to what drives you and somehow incorporate that into your talk, that has an enormous power. There are some technical things that I would also like you to watch for as you're watching Jill's talk. One of the major things that Jill is a mistress of is gesture, consistent gesture, or what we call in the trade spatial anchoring, which means placing a concept in space with your gesture and then returning to it. One of the major ways that you'll notice this happens is she divides that red circle where she's standing into the right side and the left side, and whenever she's talking about the right side, her voice changes, but also she puts herself in the right hand side and she uses her gesture mainly on that side. When she's talking about the left hemisphere of the brain, she moves more to the left of the space and uses her gesture over there. But it's also all sorts of other things. I hadn't realised quite how much of a master of gesture she was until I watched the session again and noticed how physical she makes concepts. Yes, when she's telling the story, but also towards the beginning when she's talking about the different fields that she's been looking into and the different parts of her experience, the way she uses really expansive gesture when she's talking about the right hemisphere, and more methodical gesture when she's talking about the left hemisphere. So this is something you can really do. Now, developing this takes just a little bit of consciousness, but the main thing is to allow yourself to gesture naturally. What I do in my mind is I think of the concepts, and it's almost like I see them as I'm placing them, and then I know that I'll come back to them. If you've got two halves of something, or three parts, or four steps, then you can set those up as you're talking, and then you come back to them. Jill's a master at this, so really feed that into your pattern maker, your internal database as you're watching, because that's a really good skill to have, and if you can start noticing it as people are talking, you'll begin to start using it. She's also amazing at making things simple. She's a neuroanatomist, so presumably knows an enormous amount about her field, and yet as she's explaining scientific concepts, she uses very ordinary language. She uses great analogies, like the pain inside her brain was the searing pain of when you've eaten too much ice cream. That the chatter in her left hemisphere got switched off like having pressed a mute button. These are things, that analogies from daily life that conjure up the experience for us in a way that something a bit more esoteric might not have done. So really listen for the analogies that Jill uses as she's talking, because she makes quite complex concepts extremely simple for us. She also, I noticed, sets context, sets the why, the history as to why she came to the field. Partially from talking about her brother at the beginning, she also sets the context of how she recovered towards the end. She's particularly good at setting things, the schema for how things fit into. Notice also she creates this great curiosity by talking about the date of her stroke, and then she starts talking about the difference between the hemispheres. So she set up a curiosity to go, this is what happened on the morning of 10th of December 1996. I lost the ability to walk, talk, read, write, and recall my life. So let me tell, and then she moves into, let me tell you more about what the characters of the left and right hemispheres are like. So there's this beautiful context that sets, so we're actually interested in the science more because it's fitting into her experience. The other thing for you to notice I really encourage you to tell experiences from your life. For me, there's almost a digital shift between boring people who don't tell experiences, interesting people who do. But the thing to notice is how much detail she allows herself. She really takes her time. And if you can absorb that, like how much detail she gives of moving her finger along to the digits as she's looking at the business card and what her experience was like. If you can allow yourself that kind of detail, you're going to find that you actually become a much more interesting person. And it's one of those things where we think we don't want to give much detail because we think we're going to bore people, but actually the more detail you put into your story, the better it becomes. Those of you who've seen part 2 of Developing Presentation Superpowers, the free course that you can sign up for here, we talk about pace. Jill's pace is excellent. She really takes her time and puts space around her words. Oh, and one last thing. Best visual aid ever. So talking about the brain and bringing a brain out. In fact, I noticed this last night as I was watching some presentations, that props really bring a topic alive in a way I hadn't really noticed. So if you can find physical things, not in a cheesy way, but a way that really demonstrates what you're talking about, it wakens our brain up in a way that just a slide wouldn't do. So that's my pretty long review, but I don't apologise for it because this is one of my favourite TED Talks ever, and if you can learn some lessons from the way Jill talks, then I think it's going to set you up. Don't be intimidated by her story. You've also got that kind of content if you can connect to your passion. Good-o, this is Andrew Lightheart from smallbiztalks.com. I managed to race the thunderstorm and film this before it came, which is a good thing, and I'll see you next time.